Howdy, y'all. See, this time I shook it up. I knew what to do this time.
Welcome aboard, passengers.
You're about to be belted in against your will. Just kidding. If you guys are clicking on this, you probably already know what this is about. This is the first... This is the formal podcast on the continuation of that little preview we gave about Iacon Online was whack.
Iacon? More like I can't. I took battle damage.
I think I'm gonna take that out. Anyway, so in this one, we're obviously going to be going way more in depth on what exactly took place, specifically centering around this one particular individual who we call Person M. Did you have to speak over me?
We were speaking together.
You know what? Shh. Anyway, so we're going to be talking about that at length here. We'll try to keep your ears safe during this flight.
Meaning she won't cuss. Even though we want to.
That wasn't at all what I meant, but you reminded me to behave. I'll be on my behaviors.
One thing I definitely want to say is that I don't think that everyone involved in this convention knew what was going on, especially the people in the artist alley. I think a lot of people were kept in the dark about this person's behavior. So, you shouldn't, not follow anyone or not do anything. You're your own person. You can make your own decisions.
This also isn't really a condemnation of fan-run events, except for the way that they tend to be lackadaisically run in this instance. This is basically an example of something that should have been handled way better than it was. And considering how much they could have gotten away with by not being a corporate entity or something like that, the fact that they still refused to handle it properly, which we have found out since that basically their way of handling it or non-handling of it goes against their own code of conduct for this event.
For their own event, it goes against their own
we don't technically know who, if any one individual wrote the code of conduct, but Iacon Online does have a website. So if you want to see what we're talking about, you can go ahead
and click below. It'll be Iacon Online WordPress.
Yeah. Have fun.
Yeah. So we're going to go ahead and just tell you something that is relevant to our conversation, which is their kind of mission and vision statement, which is as follows. As part of Iacon Online's mission to give Transformers fans a virtual convention experience, we are also committed to providing a space for showcasing diversity and inclusion within the fandom. As such, we want to support and amplify voices of marginalized groups within the community.
Now, I'm going to say right up front, that's not at all the vibe I got from this event.
Yeah.
There was nothing that I really saw firsthand amongst the attendees that showcased the fact that I don't think anybody knew that was what they were going for.
Yeah.
Well, anyways, just examples of other things in the code of conduct that, keep in mind, just go ahead and put a pin in it while you're listening to this horrible event.
Racial slurs and stereotypes towards a person of color.
Death threats and doxing are obviously against policy. It's a lot of the just basic stuff of don't harass people, don't talk about somebody's, sex life. I just saw that, for example. Don't put people on blast. Don't do stuff that's very obvious, for a lot of these kinds of events. I will say it wasn't really put out there that this event was for people of a certain age.
So it was kind of everyone.
Yeah, they rated E for everyone, I suppose, because, the fact that they didn't really, say who it's for, other than just generally fans of Transformers, I don't think they understood. I mean, at the same time, I think they did and didn't know what was going to happen. And the fact that what happened still happened, and yet they didn't realize that, well, because this is not an 18 plus or 21 plus event.
Community, yeah.
You guys do understand that means minors are going to be present at some extent. There are fans that I've seen lately that are older than 40 that are like, oh, I like going to these kinds of events. And for all they're incorporating their children into these things and the experiences and being like, hey, look over my shoulder as we go ahead and cruise through some of the artist alleys and blah, 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 blah.
Now, we've definitely heard some feedback that the Artist Alley was only supposed to be open on 2 days, but if that was the case, the Discord only should have been open those 2 days, which was January 30th and January 31st. Discord was open from January 25th to February 2nd. At any point in time, people could interact with the volunteer mods, the moderators, the co-founders, the content developers, I guess is what we're going to call the artists and fan artists that were there. So,
most of whom, by the way, we will go ahead and say were there with the intention of not only interacting and socializing with other people, but also to generally make some money off their fan art and things. You know, that's kind of what the event was for, is not only fan run, but fan run in terms of some of the booths and, you know, the artists and people were doing commissions, but you were not, I think generally as an overarching rule, you were not supposed to be hawking your wares in the chats and stuff.
Unless you were an artist in the artist alley. And the thing is that 2020 was hard for everyone, especially artists whose, you know, if you have a, if where your money comes from is conventions and all those conventions were canceled in 2020, of course you're going to want to find a place to make money. And if at any point in time, even if any of these artists knew, you then have to make the ethical or decision where you don't get to make any money anymore if you step away from this convention.
At least not in the way you were doing it previously.
Yeah.
You know, if somebody's trying to make a lot of physical merch like lanyards or, you know, buttons and stuff, and then, you know, people don't want to.
So we don't at any point in time fault the attendees or the artists that were there. I think most of the fault lies with the people who were in charge, moderators, founders, and the people who really had a lot of the decision-making choices. Because even though this person really, you know, we've heard that this person really didn't have any power, and yet at all points in time, they participated in
everything was reactionary around them, which is highly suspect. Yeah. And I appreciate that a lot of attendees actually did have the awareness to say, hey, whoa, that's not okay. That's not appropriate. Yeah. Please don't do that here.
Yeah.
And yet people that have come forward and given us the evidence and just others, aside from the stuff we've gleaned ourselves, the people that have chosen to come forward and talk to us that were either harassed or pursued by this person or had a terribly long history with, you know, hey, this person has shown up before and I've seen them in other things and they've done the same thing and they've gotten away with it again and again and again. I'm tired of this crap. We actually even had somebody come onto our Twitter and say, you know, thank you for making the preliminary video to this. That was kind of like an advertisement for the coming content. So, you know, it's interesting, you know, how that's the first time somebody's ever come forward to us as of right now and said,
thank you.
You know, thank God you guys made that. And, you know, we're appreciative of that stuff. Yeah, and it matters because, again, a lot of people, you know, a running theme in some of our podcasts that discuss darker themes is that while this is not the forefront of terrible online, dark web, evil crimes going on, they're affecting people negatively, and drastically
it's affecting people in the Transformers fandom. And my thing is that Icon Online and the participants in Icon Online like to say, oh yeah, we're inclusive. We're trying to make the fandom a better place. That's really, you know, something in line with what we would want to do is kind of tell people who come in that are new that, hey, this isn't normal. We're all aware of it. You know,
there are normal fans.
There are normal fans here that want to talk about specifically, you know, these topics. So we understand the intent behind it. However, when you allow people like Person M to not only survive, but thrive and
in a community, especially where you have gone out of your way to be essentially employ them to run something and be in a position of power. Yikes. And that's basically the thing this all comes down to. So without further ado, we'll probably point out some more of the code of conduct stuff as it arises. So let's go ahead and get started with that. So what are we doing? We're doing chronological.
I think we should start chronologically. This is going to be very confusing because, you know, there is a chronological sequence of events, but then at the end of this, we're going to kind of show you that this person has a history of being a hypocrite and a liar. And that's why, for me, as someone who doesn't know any of these people stepping forward, why, if you saw this person's Twitter and saw their tweets and saw their behavior, why are you taking their word over people who have no history of
people
lying
that have
nothing to
gain? And that's the thing that really baffles me is, like, if at any point in this, like, I kept imagining, and I would even turn to you and tell you as it was transpiring, like, I can't imagine having a friend who is doing so just horrible things to people,
right?
Saying things that make them obviously uncomfortable. When they get asked to stop, they continue and then even ban people. And then they turn around and they're like, I'm being harassed. And it's like, at what point do you sit there and go, wait a minute, like, that's not how it looks. And the thing is these people are being given the evidence that that person M is doing the things that they're being accused of doing, and they're ignoring it. They're pointedly ignoring it and then telling people that accuse them that you're and I quote, they were being told that you're jealous.
Yep.
You are, what was the quote that you took from person M's page?
Yes. A harasser, liar, and academically bankrupt grifter. I love that one.
You know what? Okay, honey.
So by the way, Icon Online's own code of conduct says that they will investigate. Let me see if I can find exactly. So they will investigate. So what they said is that they will, and then the following steps will be taken. So they will acknowledge your complaint. They would say, hey, we're going to investigate via public posts, social media profiles. And then in the event the complaint is unjustified or the situation requires a discussion, only the reporter will be notified of the outcome. Literally none of these reporters got any of the outcomes.
I think this is the thing that makes me laugh out loud the most is number 4 on their code of conduct for this specific thing is, depending on the severity of the misconduct, a set of warnings will be issued. First will be a warning and then a discussion with a staff member about the conduct. In addition, they will be asked to issue an apology within 24 to 48 hours of being notified. If the apology is not issued and or conduct discussed continues, this will result in all promo of the individual being removed from Icon Online's social media. There will also be no further promotion of the individual. We will say that we have visited their Twitter and noticed that they've definitely scrubbed
a lot.
I would say more than 80% of the troublesome things.
Yeah.
And I think they are continuing to do it. I will not say that that's exclusively because we're making all this content about it, but I have never seen somebody like, just the fact that we set this ball rolling is weird because I've never been in a position where I'm seeing a literal fleet of people just like backpedal like there's no tomorrow about something they could have easily handled. And it's like, you guys could have taken the easy route numerous times. I know they got over 50 complaints. I know they did.
Probably.
And yet they're freaking out because of this. And it's like, your guys' own code of conduct is stabbing you guys right in the back right now. And you guys I just can't get over it.
So, January 25th, the point where it all begins. The very day that Icon Online opens, she is already making what?
Be ready to repeat that. I will say, best part of the code of conduct, I just noticed a very bizarre loophole in point number 5. And they say, and I quote, if the aforementioned misconduct continues and or multiple varied complaints have been issued, the individual in question will be completely removed from the event and or blocked from participation. So they don't even have to be investigated on that in that statement. Right. It's literally, if complaints have been lodged by multiple people.
And we have 7 people with confirmed complaints against this person.
And all those people contacted the event coordinators and were rebuked. Mm-hmm. I think that's hilarious. I just saw that right now. Live update.
So, Icon Online is breaking their own code of conduct. No surprise there. We're going to start with the first day of the convention. 1/25/2021. A lot of people will say, hey, it's not really the first day of the convention. January 30th was the first day. However, the Discord was up. People were interacting. There were people there were artists, there were people already making commissions, all kinds of stuff. It was hopping. There was at least 100 people there. So, she did make a claim that racism belongs in fanfiction in AO3 on the 25th, but we don't have corroboration with that.
You're speaking about Person M.
Mm-hmm. This is Person M. Person M actively participates in sexualizing Rodimus, talking about things, especially on and in his butt. The first person to complain points out that the server is PG-13 and they should probably take the conversation out of the chat.
Before it escalates. That was their point, was basically, I see where this is going. You should probably take this and whoever's interested in this out into a new chat.
Right.
Because this was very obviously not the chat for it.
Yeah. They then get banned while they are sleeping.
The person who made
the complaint.
Not even a complaint.
It was
At
just
that point,
a gentle guidance.
It was a suggestion. And basically, person M, the moderator, I don't know if
manipulated a situation in order to get them banned.
Yeah.
By the way, this person is a dude, and you'll see at the end that every time a man is uncomfortable with any aspect of sexuality,
with any of the hypersexualization in a room full of virtual room full of people that are not there for that.
Yeah.
This convention does not have any parameters about not safe for work content other than the fact that it doesn't belong there.
She will basically gaslight girl boss. She will basically gaslight them and basically tell them that their feelings about their own sexuality, seeing sexual images, are invalid, and we have Twitter.
We'll go ahead and throw one of those up right now.
Of that. So, needless to say, this person, the first person to report anything, then asks why they are banned.
Who they ask specifically? The Icon Online
moderator group.
Okay.
Yeah. So Icon Online then claims that they harassed someone. However, we found absolutely no proof that this person violated Icon Online's code of conduct.
Now, did the person who made not the accusation, I mean, honestly, it happened, but the person that made the complaint, we'll call them F. So, take the F. So F basically was like, hey, I got banned. I woke up to this. What's going on? And I'm sure. Did you say that they asked the event people, like, where's the proof that I harassed them?
Yeah.
And there wasn't any.
There was none, and we found none. We did our own independent investigation.
I mean, they're F is very kind and came forward with a lot of stuff for us. So then some super sus stuff started going down. Obviously, had to start sometime. So F basically found out that somebody that they had previously encountered roughly a year before, who they had called out on Twitter for showing Transformers pornography to minors in an untagged, unsanctioned, just totally just smack dab on Twitter with no warnings, no nothing.
Yeah.
F said, hey, what's up with that? Could you please tag your stuff? I don't want to see this on my thing. To which the person responded, basically, f*** you and your sexuality, you're a guy.
Yeah.
You know, f*** off. I've earned the right to do what I want after, basically just had that air of like, I deserve to do what I want as a woman with Transformers after being, gate-kept by men. And it's like, oh God, it was a nightmare. Anyway, F found out through somebody else in the con. He was approached and was told that this person had disguised themselves with a different name, gone into the chat, supposedly, quote-unquote, collected and screen-grabbed the incriminating evidence about him and had given it to the moderators. And that was the grounds under which he was banned.
We still have not seen any of this evidence. It is not public. And in fact, this person actually had to make a safe for work account and a not safe for work account because apparently so many people were like, yeah, no, that's not okay. So...
And it should be said that on their Tumblrs and things, they now have very obvious, glaring warnings about don't want minors here. This is a minor-free zone, and it's pretty obvious to see why. However, again, on their Twitter in the aforementioned year, they were not preventing minors from seeing their work and were openly sharing it. And that was the thing that F was making the point about, that it was wildly inappropriate.
Despite all this, Icon Online doesn't comment on how they made this decision or why they made the decision to ban F. However, it is really suspicious that moments after, basically within the same day after, kind of gently nudging a mod and saying, hey, I'm really uncomfortable about this topic. Could we move on or move forward? Could you take it someplace else?
And the fact that it was being perpetrated by a mod.
Yeah.
Somebody that you're supposed to be entrusting with, the sanctity of the space. A space that was not marked as being not safe for work friendly and was open to anybody with a username. Honestly, just anybody could show up. Anybody could come in. Not invite needed. So, weird.
Yeah. So that was day one. just specifically with this person, as each day moves forward, more and more people join and more people get involved. So day 2, while in a voice chat, person M claims that underage and racist content on AO3 should be allowed in fan fiction, specifically the N-word.
Now, that's something that's already had a lot of contention, not really amongst a lot of fans, but weirdly enough, it always keeps coming back to this random-ass group of people. But actually, we've been conferring with AO3 lately about a separate issue, which, interestingly enough, we recently got a response from them finally, from their actual legal team. And we were bringing up a different topic that it's strange, again, how it kind of just completely clashes with this again. But what they have said is, and I quote, "As mentioned in our prior email, the question of a warning for racism is an item that is currently under discussion. However, those discussions are quite complicated and involve many elements. For example, all current archive warnings denote events that happen within the work. Determining their applicability does not depend on interpreting authorial or narrative intent, which a warning for racism might, and which is further complicated by the widely varying ways that racism may be experienced in different cultures and cultures around the world. Countries and cultures around the world. My mistake. Archive warnings in general are also not required when the content is a mere reference. For example, a rape non-con warning isn't required on a work for mentioning that a sexual assault takes place off-screen. However, this kind of dividing line then becomes very unclear when applied to the issue of racism and how much a warning would work to protect and inform readers who see it. Determining how such a tag could be enforced consistently and fairly is not a trivial matter."
So with everything going on with AO3 right now, their official stance is actually, we're working on it. It's going to take a lot more time than just implementing a new tag. And
apparently it's been under, their terms of service have been under revisement for quite some time. However, it takes them quite a long time to accumulate the money for the legal fees necessary to file said terms of service. So they are actively rewriting it as we sit here and talk.
Right.
And yet people act like, because they're saying the N-word and doing whatever they want in their fics, and as we discuss later, barbarian AUs and racist depictions of First Nations and indigenous cultures and people, they're getting to it. It's taking them a minute because I think they're realizing that it's becoming more of a growing issue.
Yeah. And the thing is that if you're worried about racism in fan fiction, we can offer some link below to racist depictions. It's a really good museum. You can look through everything there. It's entirely virtual, luckily, now that COVID has happened. They put a lot of their resources online for COVID. So just give us a look-see. If you find yourself writing those tropes, just know that they have a history behind them.
Even the ones that people have been mistakenly depicting as, these are good. Yeah. No, there's not really such a thing in regards to certain aspects and tropes that have been depicted. There's a whole podcast we're currently constructing about that, which will come out eventually. And, you know, we'll put a link to it in this video once this is put up, and that one is made.
So AO3 directly contradicts what this girl is saying.
And while what this person is saying is basically just an opinion, it's an opinion nonetheless that gives some insight into what a moderator, somebody who has been granted control of a space, a safe space,
for diversity and inclusion,
is now flaunting their opinions about things that I want to say they don't really know much about. We know for a fact their ethnicity. We roughly know their age. You know, they're not very careful about the information they put online, and I don't understand why, after lying and lying and lying about their age, which is something we'll talk about later, and other things about what they do for a living. For example, when people were bringing up the fact that, well, you're not Black, perhaps you shouldn't be talking about the usage of the N-word in your fan fictions or the fictions you want to read, specifically as they pertain to AO3.
Yeah.
And their response is, I'm studying ethnography, I know things, I'm writing a paper on it, all of which has been used in the past by this same person, by Person M, which is something that has directly connected them to prior offenses.
Yeah.
And I think that was where the people started noticing, hey, point, I know this, I've seen this before.
Girl. Yeah.
And that's where it really started from the Icon Online attendees to go, wait a minute, I think I do know you. I think I've seen you before.
Yep. So, while in this chat, specifically, from how this person who gave us this, recollection, she said that the whole chat goes quiet. Our own research pulls that there were 3 people who reported this. One of the persons reported it and was banned. One person reports it to a mod, but then backs out once they find out that several people have been banned for reporting against this person. One person who is underage makes a raid server. Their plan was to scream the N-word to all participants of the convention, mainly people in charge. We kind of condemn their action. We don't think it was the right word to take, but
as they are a child, I understand what they were trying to do, which was basically outrage tactics on purpose against Person M.
Yeah.
It was a very confusing instance, but I can fish out kind of what they were going for.
Yeah.
And I will say that was an interesting occurrence for them to try and push the moderators' buttons all at once like that. It was a sight to behold, apparently.
We never saw that happen, but we heard that it was a lot of basically them just trying to push buttons and things like that.
And see what would happen.
And of course they all got removed and things like that. But again, Person M did not get removed.
The person in question that was instigating a lot of the problems in the first place, again, was completely protected by the admins of Iacon Online.
Right. So
3 days later.
Yep, 3 days. So on January 29th, 2021, the entire con is accused of art theft due to an early contributor not being credited. So, and this person cites that they were no longer a good fit for the convention. We weren't ever able to get in contact with this person, so we're not sure exactly what it was, but with all the problems that showed up during the actual convention, it just kind of makes me wonder, like, what was so bad that this person did that made them have to leave?
And apparently it was basically in the realm of the Iacon Online admins and event organizers basically were like, hey, we need some art and a logo and a header, and we need all this like basic graphic design stuff to set up for the Discord, the Twitter, whatever it was, so they can have a representative symbol of the convention, which was basically at that point now officially launched. They did have some actual, voice actors that attended. James Roberts was slated to attend virtually, of course, and we found out later most of the stuff was pre-recorded.
Yeah.
However, at that point, basically by the end of the art being finished, multiple people had collaborated on it, from what I understand. Roughly 3, I think.
Yeah. However, this person's contribution was really obvious to me as a non-artist, and then really super obvious to you as an artist. Like, the fact that certain things were changed and certain things were created, it just gave it a very cohesive look that I don't think could have been accomplished without this particular artist's contribution. And their concerns were dismissed. Pretty much just like everybody else's stuff.
Essentially, one of the 3 people, the artist we were talking about right now, was left out of the crediting. So 2 people got credit, not them. And they had an issue with that. As, somebody who doesn't get credited at a job, you'd be pissed off. So I understand that is, a valid feeling. And when they brought up that with the admins saying, hey, why wasn't I credited with the work that I did?
They said, oh, you should have mentioned it earlier.
How much earlier can we get, pal?
Yeah. Anyways, so later on that day, a user comes onto Twitter and claims that she reported to Iacon Online that Person M encouraged underage persons to pursue relationships with adults. She calls out to several tweets that Person M posted and retweeted from self-proclaimed maps.
If you guys don't know what a map is, it is a minor attracted person.
These tweets are now deleted, showing that Iacon Online knew they were incriminating. As of now, Person M has not apologized or changed their behavior.
As according and in line with Iacon Online's Code of Conduct.
They are still featured on Iacon Online's Twitter and presumably their Twitch. However, Iacon Online has taken down all their videos.
That is the full extent of things that went down at this con pretty publicly.
Yeah.
Now, for most of the people that deviated into separate chats so that they could discuss this stuff privately away from people like Person M and other suspect moderators, it actually came to light. By that time, we'd actually joined and had partaken in the server just to see, what was going on. There was a lot of hubbub, and we, at that point, were kind of late, and we were like, what's the deal here? It took some time to find the chat, but once we were there was quite a centralized hub of people that were like, Person M did this to me a few years ago, Person M did this to me last year, they did this to me a few months ago, Person M, there was an instance where Person M got one of their friends to go and attack somebody else, and we, of course, asked about some of that stuff, and we got some information and all the viewpoints necessary, and they provided us with more than ample evidence of obviously non-edited screen grabs that were of things that these people were mortified by. Yeah. And the fact that this person had a track record of causing problems, whether or not these people that organized Icon Online thought they were true, the fact of the matter is this person is just wreaking controversy everywhere. And you guys decided, all of them, hey, you're our friend, we're gonna go ahead and employ you. It's technically a volunteer job, so, just not literally employment for payment or anything. But we're gonna have you run some chats. And they really can't read a room. Just flat out can't read a room. And at no point when they wanted to change the discussion to something a little bit less than safe for work, did they ever ask in the chat, hey, y'all, I want to talk about this. Is that okay? Or, hey, I'm going to move to this chat so we can talk about this. Is that okay? Does anybody want to... It was so strange. And for somebody that was put in charge of something that had obviously never been in charge of anything else before that was at an official capacity, I can't stress that enough. Icon Online was an official event. Though it was prompted by fans, and a lot of fans attended it and set up little impromptu booths about, art and, chibi art and commissions and buttons and, the same old stamps and artwork and prints and fan fiction related stuff. It doesn't matter. The people that organized it need to be held accountable for things. You guys are taking on I don't think they understood the magnitude of taking on responsibility for organizing an event like this. And we actually got the chance to speak with one of them. We're not going to be providing any of the audio clips here, but we can basically generally summarize that the person that was in charge of setting up the entire event from the get-go, it was a disappointing conversation, to say the least. We only asked a few questions, and they kind of went down a little bit of a rabbit hole without really meaning to, and then tried to retract what they said. However, at this point, what they did is basically they're covering up pedophilic things now. And under the guise of basically, we asked them, what got these people to be in charge of these events? How did you pick your moderators? And she literally said point blank, friends. They're just my friends and my friends of friends and just people that obviously weren't vetted because more than one of them, I believe, caused an issue. And people's non-involvement to hold other moderators as mods accountable is disgusting. Yeah. And it's like, you guys, if this had been an official thing from Google or Facebook or a well-known company or Hasbro or Nickelodeon or Cartoon Network or the Disney Channel, you guys would have been erased. They have no idea what it's like when you're navigating, the legal system in regards to criminal activity and things that just on a base level violated their own determined code of conduct.
Here's my biggest thing is that fundamentally, there are some steps that they could have taken that really wouldn't have alerted us to this. For example, if they had gone onto their Twitter or their Twitch and said, we take these allegations seriously,
we're looking into
it, and we are taking action that we deem appropriate.
And quote unquote investigating, as they call it.
And then they could have done nothing.
And we wouldn't
have known.
We wouldn't really have been the wiser. Yeah. I don't think anybody would have, because even massive corporations will make lies like that. And the fact that these random, normal, everyday people that were just casual fans are not... Just the fact that they didn't have the wherewithal to understand, again, the scape.
What she was saying on her Twitter was bad.
And now
they encouraged her to delete it.
I'd love to know how that was prefaced. Did they approach her and say, hey girl, just hide the tweets, just delete them, just go ahead and just under the rug, I'm sure they'll go away eventually. They're just trolling, but it's annoying. And honestly, if you're already talking like that to them, you don't really think in the back of your head that maybe, the fact that I'm asking someone to hide something repeatedly, maybe they're doing something really wrong.
Yeah, and even after we posted this video, this person went through their whole Twitter and cleaned out and cleaned shop, and then would be posted a whole bunch of things about, their own sexuality and trying to posture themselves as a minority, as if two women talking about Transformers is...
Two gay women don't know what the deal is here. Right. Not saying we're the most marginalized group in the world, but the thing is it's just ridiculous.
So for anyone,
her main point with that was pedophilia is not child abuse. That's wrong.
Yeah.
That's inarguably wrong.
And the thing is we can't really tell if she's she's very anti-censorship. At the same time, she likes to censor things that she doesn't agree with.
I mean, God, back to back on her Twitter, which was
my thing is she could have retweeted this, not knowing that this person was a map. But the thing is that you're not going to do that research when someone mentions this topic. There's also
the fact that you find solidarity with somebody that's being accused of being a map.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where the suspicion of things starts, is I'm getting a weird vibe from so-and-so's tweets. And I got, you found them and showed some to me. And I was like, ugh, it was horrifying because that person is deliberately being given on the basis of, not that they've done any of this before, but you're my friend. I'm going to pseudo hire you to monitor these chats. And that person was a terrible moderator. As just a baseline, just as a moderator.
Yeah.
Crap.
By the way,
violated all their rules.
Yeah.
All of them, basically. And yet, it's like, boom, I'm fine. What do you freaking... Honestly, the information needs to be out there. All fandoms have these kinds of people in them.
And people do like to circle the wagons and protest people because there's some dumb thing in people's mind that, this person is like me, so they need to be protected from all these lies that are happening.
This person likes big prowl art getting f***ing inflation. I gotta protect them because they matter so much to me. You think that's your representation for being marginalized? Big prowl art? Honey, what planet are you from?
All that.
About the censorship thing, though, before we get, a little too driven insane here, because this is honestly so infuriating to see this time and time and time again, and especially that people get more and more egregious and less and less covert about what they're doing to cover it up or to perpetrate it, makes me want to vomit in their shoes. Just, this person literally went out of their way on their own Twitter to basically be and to nobody. I'm going to say right now, 1 or 2 likes max, and they're just preaching to a wall, and they're just I want, what was it? They're I don't want to see
homophobia.
I don't want to see homophobia. I don't want to see, basically things to their own specific taste, right? Yeah. And yet, then they turn around and are I'm very anti-censorship.
Yeah.
And yet, very openly on the same Twitter feed, just you scroll up a little bit or you scroll down and something is completely contradictory to that. And I don't understand, because how does somebody that is on their own Twitter not log in and type something in and see, I posted this? Are you not at all self-assessing your behavior? Do you not even log in and read something? It's like when Facebook recommends me to repost something from 10 years ago and it's stupid. And I'm oh man, do you not look at your stuff at all and go,
maybe I should delete that? Well, now they are.
Also, this person, I will say this is a very strange thing to add, but we can't exactly tell what their real age is. They've lied about it on numerous occasions. They've posted different ages within the same year that they're turning.
Yeah.
Different ages that they're turning within the same year. And then they'll post selfies and they'll describe what their job is and where they work. And I will say that it's even if you are a minor, you've gone on too far, leaving a trail of breadcrumbs about things that people can openly call you out on, and then when you get called out on them, you
delete everything you possibly
You delete it, and then you make up new stuff to say about people, and then they call you out again, and you say, I'm being harassed. I'm being attacked by these trolls.
Liars, academically bankrupt, something.
I mean, God, you want to talk about academically bankrupt? Ugh,
the thing is that we kind of took this from a perspective where we weren't going to form an opinion about this person until we got all of the puzzle pieces in a row.
Honestly, I was already forming an opinion about Iacon Online the minute I knew that nothing was being done.
Yeah. But I wanted to give everyone a benefit of the doubt. The fact of the matter is this person talks too much about interactions that they have with children.
And it's really uncomfortable, honestly, reading their Twitter feed.
Yeah.
I don't really suggest people do it. But people that know her have obviously probably done it, as that's the basis for a lot of patterned behavior. They're establishing a pattern saying, hey, Iacon Online, you know, if you didn't know she was very sus before, now you know. This person should not be in a space where minors are allowed. It's very uncomfortable.
Yep.
It's really like, it's really, it's like standing on hot coals and you're like, I can feel the heat. Like, I don't know this is so creepy. It makes you just want to like crawl out of your skin. And like, I know it might sound a little juvenile a bit sitting here making a podcast about fandom BS that we encounter, but this is real.
Yeah.
This person is very sus. And like, it's beyond sus. I don't know why I keep saying it's beyond. Like, but it's not cool at all. No. It is horrible that these fan organizers who
they had access to this information just the same as we did.
Absolutely. Yeah. And the information we went out of our way to go and find was not hard to collect. No.
And the thing
it was just at length. There's a lot of it.
It's not a crime to lie online, but the thing is that we found out she was a liar. We found out that she was a hypocrite. We found out that she's sexist and oftentimes goes out of her way to contradict men's opinions and men's comfort
and
levels.
Instigate them.
Yeah,
I would say basically instigate them.
And then on top of all of that, she will go out of her way to contradict people of color.
When they validate them, just straight up.
She will go out of her way to go to tweets, to go to publish articles and basically be like, I can't believe how under-researched this article was. And it's just one of those things where I'm sitting there and I'm like, so every time a person of color speaks up about the fact that they're uncomfortable with racism in fan fiction, you are there to tell them that
they're wrong.
They're wrong, and that racism is okay in these spaces.
Which is weird, because if she doesn't want to see homophobia, why does she want to see racism?
Yeah.
That makes me like, I'm not saying they're the same issue, but they're like cousin issues.
Yeah.
They have some of the same, like footholds that people continue to, there's a lot of hallmarks that are associated with both. And the fact that she's okay with the one that allows her to basically to the fantasy of, and the other one so that she can get some sort of power play out of it. The fact that these people think that these worldly issues like racism and homophobia are limited to their insular little world of their dominion of Transformers.
Yeah.
That they've cut out and pulled away the fandom from, and they're like, this is mine. This is all mine. And they're foaming at the mouth, and they're just...
And it's just weird.
Rabid.
It's just weird to me because I went back into their Twitter and I found stuff as recently as like February.
So stuff that was literally happening during the convention.
During the convention, there was one in February. There was one in January, I want to say. There was one last November. Every time any person of color speaks up against racism, especially on AO3, she's there. She's present. She's ready to contradict, your feelings in that.
And another strange thing they do is basically the way that they go about collecting people and collecting clout is by purposefully going out of their own way to interact with real figures in the Transformers community, like, James Roberts and comic artists and voice actors and people that do concept art, and like
she's even
just
said
fan
on her
artists
Twitter,
that are prominent.
She said on her Twitter that she's like, I want attention. I need attention. I crave attention for everything that I do. And it's like, that's kind of weird.
Well, I get that there's like the whole realization that humans naturally do typically tend to crave, but the whole thing about going on your Twitter where no one's interacting with you and just maybe you would be more likable if you didn't say some of the things that you say. Like, honey, the only reason people aren't engaging with you is because for years now, you've been saying and doing terrible things to people.
Yeah. And the people who are your friend are people that you can manipulate. I don't understand why anyone would take a look at her Twitter, even just a month back, and say, yes, this is the person that I want to include in my virtual convention that is striving to keep diversity and inclusion as the forefront of what is on your brain. This is who I want, is this person who speaks up against persons of color every time they mention racism in the
Especially
fandom.
an event all about diversity, which still is just a weird sentence to hear.
Did the guests know that did Kat know that person M actively supports racist tropes in fanfiction? Did they took down all the Twitch videos after we came forward?
Did you mention that yet? That they scrubbed the chat logs and whatever?
Oh, right. So while all of this was going on, right at the end of the Transformers Icon Online convention, they removed the voice chat channel, which is where most of the incriminating evidence towards person M was. So as we mentioned,
was the only thing that was essentially
deleted,
just removed.
Yeah. Which lets us kind of know that Icon Online was not only aware, but they were protecting this person. We definitely want to know why, but we'll never get that answer. We tried to reach out to Icon Online for that comment, and we only
spoke with the direct event organizer, and as we stated earlier, that was a very it was a simultaneously fruitful and unfruitful conversation. It was interesting that they ended up giving more information than we were even asking. It was very strange. They definitely acted like they wanted to talk about stuff, but they then would pull back. But it's just frustrating because when we engaged that conversation, we were kind of hoping that, originally we were just there to be like, we're curious about this. And we didn't know totally everything that was going on. We were like, can we ask about it? To which they declined, and we were like, that's fine, you can decline. We won't press any further. To which they continued to say things like, oh, I don't want to talk about it because it's personal, and it was just a big old mess, and, people were trolling, and they're jealous of, art. And we're just sitting there like, we, at this point, know that that's not,
true.
We've seen enough screen grabs at that point to go, that's not at all the vibe I'm getting.
Yeah.
Is that people are jealous.
My main issue is that even if person M didn't have all these problems, wasn't a hypocrite, wasn't a liar, wasn't someone who, actively would contradict themselves within a month or tries to demonize people,
and then put themselves on a pedestal.
Yeah. Even if they didn't behave like that, and this was just a case of he said, she said, where there was no proof, nothing whatsoever, it would have been nice to see something from Icon Online saying, hey, we do not support maps.
We do not condone pedophiles. We do not condone maps and map behavior. We do not condone not safe for work.
We
content
take these
being in the space of minors. We take these allegations seriously. Which they didn't.
And they didn't make that public statement. If they had made a public statement, we wouldn't be making this podcast right now. We would probably be talking in a very general sense about, oh man, Icon Online, that was crazy how that thing happened, but at least they handled it. Yeah.
But they didn't. And the fact that they didn't handle it, and yet they want to pretend that they're just as good and big and important as other event organizers for cons, it's like, y'all did not behave at all the way business people would behave about this. You guys are not any better than the Hasbro coordinator. But when you go in there and you flaunt this weird privilege that you've got, and again, if this person didn't want to be in the center of all this negative attention, then watch what you say online. Right. That's just the general rule of being on the internet.
Yep.
It doesn't take much to take boop, see that? That's a weird screenshot. It's not hard.
Nope.
It's not hard. And they think that they can outwit people.
Yeah.
Like
they think that they can
people
say,
like F and people like the artist that was, it's just ridiculous.
oh, this is photoshopped. Well, honey, we're not photoshopping any of these screen grabs that we're taking. You can
I
go
would
into
not ever spend my time photoshopping evidence. Like, come on.
Yeah, that's way too crazy.
If you guys are digging the grave yourself, I'm not gonna stand there and be like, wait a minute, hold on, let me get some more shovel. Like, y'all are doing it. I don't need to help.
No. You
guys are causing your own problem. We're standing by watching it. And fortunately enough, we kind of have a bit more of a platform now to be like, hey man, this is pretty screwed up. For anybody that was there and didn't know about it, you guys deserve the right to know if you're being put in a space. Well, somebody even said that too.
Yeah.
That's not even,
you have a right to know when
you're entering a space where somebody like this is present. And I'm not just talking about like a map or something, but somebody that has these tendencies to say these things. And if you're uncomfortable by it, you shouldn't get banned for saying you're uncomfortable. Yeah. Especially when by the policy and the code of conduct mentions things about talking about people's sexuality. And like, I don't care if it's Rodimus or you. Like, come on. Yeah. You're talking about sexuality. That's the thing there. That is the whole crux right there. It's the sexuality. All you guys had to do was say, sorry, Person M, due to some circumstances, we can't really have you be a mod at this time. They could have said anything. Sorry, we have as many as we need. That's my thing, is that Icon Online could have handled it so much better. And they didn't, and they're mad that people are saying that. Yeah. And it's like, you guys are the ones that held the event. Of course you're going to be held accountable. I don't care if this was happening. I don't care if the organizers knew Person M personally or not. I don't care. This was happening. People reported it. It doesn't matter if there's a connection between you guys or not. And you did nothing, and you said nothing, and you did not alert the public that were attending your convention that this was going on. And you guys got angry with the people reporting it. Yeah. You disliked them openly and would criticize them in their DMs about, oh, I don't want come on. You don't get the high ground here. You're supposed to be a neutral party with the best interests of the convention at heart. And you followed none of your own policies. Yeah. You basically gaslit the people who reported stuff to you. And that, in a diverse and inclusive space is you have this diverse and inclusive space. Those are words that Icon Online use towards their own thing. And repeated during the interview. And you look at this person, and we looked at their track history, we looked at their Twitter, we looked at their DeviantArt, we looked at their AO3, we looked at their Tumblr. We saw all of it. And the thing is they don't think those things are connected, but it's easy to find. I mean, especially when people barely make variations on their usernames. It's like, come on, you changed the letter A to the number 8. Like, it's not that hard, man. It's not hard. And I don't think people get that a lot of the times, that we grew up in the internet age too, my man. Like, come on, dude. We know how to use, Spokio. So, all of this stuff that kind of points them out to being not only, they're not a reliable character. They lie. They contradict themselves. They're not somebody that should be in a position of authority. Yeah. And their immaturity comes through on their Twitter very plain as day. If I had a friend, and I was kind of like, I think they'd be interested in this position as a mod, but, I just don't think they can handle responsibility. I wouldn't give them the responsibility. I don't think they understand that you're an event coordinator. You guys are supposed to be actually putting in some work here about, hey, gotta be a little cutthroat sometimes. Sorry, buddy, but you don't do very well under pressure. You don't do well with, not customer service, but interacting with people that come to you with problems. You're not good at problem solving. Yeah. I'm sorry, but you wouldn't make a good, And it's really obvious when we went back into the actual Icon Online chat that they wanted to participate more than they wanted to moderate. They wanted to be the center of attention. They wanted to have all this stuff be like, hey guys, it's the reason why they allowed their friends to post commission pages, but then not other people that they didn't know. They wanted to have that power. They wanted to have that control, and they wanted to make sure that it was firm. And so they would be like, hey, who wants to talk to me about this thing that no one really cares about, but I'm going to go on about it for 30 minutes. It's God, the way that they couldn't, again, inability to read the room is something that describes a lot of the people I saw there that were behaving that way. Yeah. Again, even if these just terrible things were not happening, the fact that they're even like, doing favoritism. It's just, it's the fact that like you can't be trusted to run.
Yeah.
You can't be trusted to run this server if you're going to actively diminish artists' abilities and their reach.
Yeah.
So that you can promote your friends. Like, come on. Like, at a very small level of things that are happening here, like, come on. Like, that's not cool, man.
Yeah. And the thing is we don't want to not see these fan-run conventions again. They're very fun. They're obviously good business opportunities for the artists that can participate.
And they were very accessible. It was online entirely.
Yeah, and they're very accessible, which is amazing. But the thing is, diversive, inclusive, no.
This was not a good example of a fan-run event.
Yeah.
I think that's something that I need to say. And the people that were running it, I know they're above the age of 30.
Yeah.
Most of them.
So they know better.
And I just can't help but sit here and just, shame on you guys.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not joking at all. Shame on you people.
Yeah.
Shame on you for letting this... this person that was the most publicly egregious.
We don't know what else was covered up.
And a lot of them are still confused about why.
Yeah.
Here's these people running this fan event. It's supposed to be fun. And then boom, I'm getting hit head first with all this weird controversy
with racism
and people just saying this extremely charged opinions nobody asked for in a space that was supposed to be not relating to any of that. It was just supposed to be a place for fans to come, talk about the shows, talk about the comics, and just be normal.
Yeah.
And like, again, the crazy hyper-sexual fans came to the forefront and were like, I'm making this about me. It's about me all the time. Me and my art. Me and my friends. I love it. And it's like, God, go wank yourself off somewhere else. Like, yeah, somebody that F reminded us is, hey, this person did this. Here's the thing. This happened. I don't remember exactly how many years ago right now, but...
We found their Tumblr. It's confirmed. They've had a lot of call-out posts on Tumblr about their behavior. They were in a different fandom before, moved on to Transformers as a fandom, and it's struggling to know that these people have found a safe place in something that I love so much.
I'm gonna be perfectly honest.
Yeah.
It's starting to get a little bit harder to enjoy Transformers when you know the people that are lurking around the corner.
Yeah.
I can't even tell you the last time I followed somebody on Tumblr for art. It's sad because I was on Tumblr when things were really going good and it was like fun and the comics were coming out and people were like, oh my God, did you read the recent issue? Oh, wow. And people were having a good time.
Yeah.
And it's always the same people that come in and make the space really you start like
everyone.
pulling at your collar and you're like, this is weird. Why are these, what's going on?
No.
And what's the matter with you people? What is there to gain? What did Icon Online have to gain from any of this? I don't understand it. And we, for a while, were giving them the benefit of the doubt of perhaps they set this event up and didn't really monitor it. They weren't really there to monitor it. They just kind of got the ball rolling and walked away. And that was not the case. And I was actually kind of shocked that they basically confirmed their inactivity on these
big issues.
These large-scale issues. And they're like, oh, yeah, no, we were there. We totally were involved. And I'm just like, really? Were you now? Is that what you call that? I don't know. It made it sound like we're blowing this a little out of proportion in terms of, like, just the sheer level of rage we're experiencing. But it's like, I'm so tired of seeing this happen.
Yeah.
Where these cool things go on and people get hyped and ready to go and they're preparing and all the artists are like, I gotta have prints ready. I gotta blah, blah. And then it all gets ruined by these people that just come and just wreck it.
Yeah.
Just wreck it rough.
It could have been a nice time. It could have been a good event.
And it could have been saved despite what happened if Icon Online had stepped in and went, okay, we need to actually start, put the big boy pants on now. This is starting to get a little ugly. Yeah, because that's what happens with unmoderated internet events, dude.
Yeah.
What did you expect? They knew. They're friends with these people.
Yep.
They knew who was going to attend.
Yep.
They did.
Yeah.
They really did. And come on, you thought zero drama? Come on.
Yeah,
and the drama that did come out was, they're trying to get in my way. What's success, buddy? What's success?
What we've even brought up is not even the full extent of what they've been accused of. There's some other stuff that they were accused of that we just don't feel comfortable making assertions of because we either don't have screen grabs or the screen grabs, even though it's kind of obvious that it's them. I don't think other people would make that connection, or there's
it's person M. Essentially, the idea is it's possibly person M under other pseudonyms.
Yeah,
and the thing is the only real basic relation we can kind of assert from that is that the way that they're saying things about certain issues is very similar to the way that person M phrases them now, and it's like.
And the thing is they definitely could have changed over times. I do know that back in 2017, someone had a screen grab of them saying some kind of transphobic stuff, but it's one of those things where we don't feel comfortable with making those assertions because we weren't there. All we have is like an out of context screenshot. And so there's more wrong. And the thing is that this person, one of the reasons why we're not sitting here linking to their Twitter is fundamentally they're just going to become a chameleon. And
they'll just turn into someone else, as they've been doing for the last 5 years.
Yeah.
6 years almost now.
Exactly.
And I mean, the fact of the matter is they keep getting caught again. Like they're no master of disguise at all.
No.
They literally cannot stop themselves from saying the same charged up opinions and hot takes. And then they're shocked that they get in trouble. And the thing is that person M literally knew about what was going on. They knew they were being reported.
Yeah.
Not just because the mods were really telling them. I think it was, she knew what she was doing. Like, come on.
And
what do you think this is? You think this is a joke?
Yeah. That's fundamentally, what happens is that people like this get an inch and then they get more space and more space and more space and more space. And that's when you start to see these divisions. They manipulate one group of people so that way they can hold power over another group of people. And, it's really obvious to us because we aren't in these situations. We aren't making relationships with, oh, my friend has this other friend and she's so nice. And then,
if there's one thing I've learned about being friends with people exclusively over the internet, don't trust everyone.
Yeah. And
I say that with serious intent. Do not trust everyone. You don't know them as well as you think you do.
Yeah.
It's just not possible.
I think there definitely should have been background checks.
My problem is a simple check of people's Twitter to be like, okay, greenlit. Okay, greenlit. Oh, you've got a weird Tumblr. I don't know about this. We're gonna... Like, the fact that they didn't even do it like an actual job interview thing where it's like, oh, hey, so why do you want to be a moderator?
Yeah. They didn't even go back to see, hey, a month ago they were involved with drama around race. 3 months before they were surrounding drama around someone's sexual identity.
I just can't get over the fact that, like, if she just controlled herself, this wouldn't really have been as big of a thing, but she was very obvious about her opinions on, everything. And it's like, man, you really do crave that attention, don't you? Yeah. Under any circumstances, because you've gone so far out of your way.
By the way, we have evidence that they vague tweeted about certain people and were harassing other people, whereas, we didn't have any evidence against the contrary. For example, Person M actually vague blogged about F, and it was unprovoked. It was out of nowhere,
and it was all unfounded. All of it was completely fabricated.
It was literally just trying to provoke F into a reaction. Basically, called them, a whiny baby, and it's like,
that's what you came up with?
Yeah.
Wow.
And then again. Looking at this person's history, I wouldn't put them in charge of something, even with as little power as they have. And although a lot of the blame rests on this person for their action, Icon Online
could have
team
just
could have
erased that person
it.
off the event.
Yeah.
We wouldn't be talking about it like this. And yet they made the conscious decision to keep them on.
And fundamentally,
Clean
the
up their mess, basically.
question we're left with is why? Why is this person so important that you would risk people come out are allowed to talk about this? Why would you risk someone saying, hey, why didn't you do anything about this? Why would you risk your own anything on someone?
Your username is now linked to this event, and you're just going to sit there and tell me that, oh, we did all we could. No, you didn't. You didn't do a damn thing.
You did nothing. The moderators and admins did nothing.
There shouldn't have
violated their own code of conduct.
There shouldn't have been this much quote unquote discussion about it amongst the moderators. Like, man, she had more than 3 strikes and she's out. Come on. Why do you give a person like that so many chances? Y'all look permanently bad for this temporary lapse of judgment. If it was temporary and if it was unintentional, I doubt that. But I think it's pretty funny that lead organizer told us that, nobody else wanted it to come on the podcast. And it's like, I can see why.
Yeah.
Because we're not from your insular group. We don't care about, perspectives on, a map is a map, bruh. Yeah. There's no such thing as a good map. It's one of those concepts they can't wrap their head around.
Yeah.
This was an event where you were directly responsible for the welfare of the attendees. And you act like because what? It's virtual? You act like because it's virtual, oh, well, if you don't like it, leave. They have every right to come to the event that you invited them all to. And the fact that somebody's in there doing negative things. They are doing terrible things
that violate your code of conduct.
Yeah, and even if their code of conduct was something not so strict, and it was just like, you can't say the letter F. Like, they wouldn't have kicked him out if they said 500 Fs. Like, they wouldn't care. They don't care.
Yep. You have the opportunity to make something great, to make something good, and to take responsibility for your actions.
And you'd think for their first time doing it, or like their first real run of like, I'm gonna show people I can do this, that they would have gone on the precautionary side of like, this person's being sus. Nope. This person's being sus. Nope. Nope. This person's just embroiled in controversy as we speak. Nope. I know there was probably a couple. I think
there was one moderator in the voice chat while this person was saying pretty racist stuff that did nothing. And it took someone speaking up in the chat to be like, okay, no, we're going to take this conversation someplace else. Why did that moderator do nothing? And then why did not they step forward and say, yeah, that conversation happened? Icon Online tried to be diverse and inclusive, and they allowed someone within their group to basically spew a hateful rhetoric and a rhetoric of their opinion that honestly was
questionable. Just plain questionable rhetoric where it's like, you just want to side-eye them.
Yeah.
Like, why did you say that? Like, most of the things she said were entirely unprovoked.
Yeah.
And none of them needed to branch into that not safe for work territory in regards to that. Like, she made the conscious decision to say, I'm going to use this chance to talk about things in Rodimus's ass. Like, what?
Yeah.
What's the official quote, though? I want you to say it.
The official quote is that if we extend unlimited tolerance even to those who are intolerant, if we are not prepared to defend a tolerant society against the onslaught of the intolerant, then the tolerant will be destroyed, and tolerance with them.
Yeah, like, I get that. And that's one of those things where people, like, kind of talk out of their ass and they don't really understand, where it's like, hey, man, you can't technically be tolerant of everyone because
you can't be inclusive of everyone.
That thereby means that you're letting in people that are harmful.
Yeah.
And you're by you not doing anything is you tolerating their presence. And by tolerating their presence, you're allowing their harmful behavior to continue.
And affect other people. We don't know how many people interacted with person M and just left.
Just didn't come back. And we did notice that there was a pretty significant drop-off, though, in attendances of, panels or...
Yeah, so the Discord itself had over 700 members. Panels, think maximum got 200 people.
And then
viewing it at
basically
any time.
once this all started happening,
Yeah.
the panel attendance went down to what?
I think it was like 150.
Yeah.
Or maybe 100.
Which, I mean, of course, could be due to several different things, but there were actually a surprising amount of people that were like, I'm not putting up with this crap. I'm out of here. Which, I'm not used to seeing that just because I've never existed in a group of that many people at one time where I can actually see them be like, nope, bye. Like,
yeah. So that's what we have. I hope you enjoyed it.
I don't know how they could possibly be enjoying this, but honestly, this is a more informative one where, I mean, it's already happened. The deed has been done. We just want to call attention again to this kind of issue because, like, I mean,
should this convention show up again in a year? Should this convention or
and if it's run by the same people
come up again, these issues need to be raised. We need to know that this won't happen again, that we won't show up to a place and find out, hey, actually, there's someone here that is putting you and anyone else around you at risk.
Yeah, this was virtual. Doesn't make the space any less consequential.
Yeah.
It's not about if it's there or not. It's about who's there and what they're doing. And these people are almost gobsmacked by the idea that we're sitting here like, shame on you. And it's like, oh, well, and it's like, no, you don't get to flounder. You decided to organize this event, and that means that you're accountable for everything you do and don't do.
These people would not have spoken to us if they felt that their needs and they were
validated in any way, and they weren't.
They weren't listened to. They weren't given a platform. So
that's what this is, I guess. Yeah.
Is people had, first of all, repetitive, people who didn't know each other, people who had no connections to each other whatsoever, people who had a very variety of complaints against this person, came up and said, hey, this person is not inclusive, this person is not a good person to have at your convention. And they were ignored. If they weren't ignored, we probably wouldn't be making this video. They are responsible for what happened. And it is shameful that it happened.
Yeah, and I want to say, like, y'all are so proud of making this event. Well, you know, that means you guys have to accept responsibility for the entire thing.
Yep.
And I don't want to see you guys backpedaling or pretending that none of this happened. I don't want to see you guys acting like this is the work of years-long, you know, tirades by trolls. Yeah. It's not. It's not.
We had 7 different people come to us. They tried to say it was just 1 or 2 people. No, it's not just 1 or 2 people. We don't even know how many people that felt offended or hurt by this person.
Easily more than a dozen.
Yeah.
And that's just from the people that said something about it at the time.
We cannot expect victims to speak up every time that they're hurt. And we have to recognize the signs. And this person
was waving a big old flag and everybody was like, I do not see it.
And you are responsible for the people who come to your event.
I mean, in general, that's it. In conclusion, you guys are responsible for the people that come to your event. And that includes the people that are causing the problem, as well as the people that are there that you're supposed to be protecting.
Don't work in your own self-interest. You need to work.
If you're going to accept the responsibility of running an event with many, many, many hundreds of people attending, physical or not, you guys need to be in the headspace to take care of the issues that arise.
Yeah.
And not sit here and act like they didn't happen. Not sit here and act like, oh, well, it wasn't as big of a deal as they said. Up yours, man.
Yeah.
Come on.
It obviously is a big deal because you made this person remove tweets. You
are vilifying the people that have come forward by dismissing them in any way, shape, or form.
As quickly as you possibly can. Do better next time.
I don't want them to have a next time, to be honest. There are enough people in the Transformers fan pool to pull from that would not have disgraced their position this badly. And the fact that they have contacted us since to try and retract what they've said and pretend like they didn't say it is ridiculous. You guys had a long time to figure out what you wanted to say in response to the just like basic anything. If you guys had any idea of how you wanted to cover this up, it didn't show, because all you guys want to say is a lot of fake garbage about how so-and-so's a troll, so-and-so's lying. So really, all these people are, I mean,
we hear
it every time we dig our way into this insular communities that we find that are very cult-like. And they're insane. Every time we go in there, it's just a riot because they say the same stuff.
It's one person attacking us over a span of 5 years.
They're jealous. They want to steal my art. They want to, and it's like, this isn't about art. This isn't about stealing and credit. This isn't about your feelings about something. As an isolated incident in this convention, this was the most mishandled thing I've ever seen. And if you guys were really all about protecting people and being inclusive and helping people get a voice, you would not have sat here and sat by at every turn that somebody said, this person is doing horrible things. They're sending their friends to harass me. They're bringing up not safe for work content in the chat, unsolicited, unprovoked. And when I bring it up, you ban us.
Yeah.
That's despicable. That's it. There's nothing else.
As of today, which is March 2021, Icon Online has not issued a statement condemning these person actions. In fact, they have done their best to help this person cover up most of their problematic tweets. According to Icon Online's code of conduct, this person has not issued a apology, and Icon Online has not issued an apology to the people in question. So, unfortunately,
if the bare minimum in the code of conduct is the fact that people have complained about a specific individual more than once, and that that's all that it takes to not only remove them, but merit an immediate apology within 24 to 48 hours. Sorry, guys. Haven't seen any of that. Y'all have never acted like you were going to do it.
Nope.
And it's ridiculous. You guys don't even follow your own made-up rules.
Yeah.
I don't care what you do in your off time. I don't care what your hobbies are. I don't care that you love Transformers. If you gave a shit about any of this and just base human beings and respect, none of this would have happened. And yet, every time, I'm not surprised by the amount of people that let that just, it's the internet.
Yeah.
No, it's not. It's a person. It's a person behind the computer, behind their phone, behind that Twitter, behind whatever. I don't care if you know them. It doesn't matter. As an isolated incident, what their behavior was abhorrent. And you guys let it just slip through your fingers and went, oh, whoops. Oops. And you couldn't even be bothered to just post that. Whoops. Sorry. We didn't even get a fake apology.
Yeah.
We didn't even get a fake admission of guilt. We didn't even get stuff that evil companies post when they dump sewage in the ocean and kill turtles. Like,
we don't even get like a YouTube apologist video where they put ads on it, We didn't even get that.
With the fake tears. And they're like, oh, I'm so sorry.
We didn't get that. We got no responsibility. We got nothing.
You guys shouldn't. I don't even understand how to explain to you guys why none of this should have happened. Because if you're grown adults and you're sitting here playing with this franchise you love, you would have done a much better job of protecting it and the people that love it too. And you basically looked everyone in the eyes and just shat on their safety and just shat on their ability to enjoy what you like.
Yeah.
Why? You think they can't enjoy it as well as you do? What's up with that? Stop gatekeeping.
Yeah.
If you guys were going to run a public event, you should have understood that there was going to be all variety of fans coming. But you should have never have let in the people that were, once they were in, violating your code of conduct. And just violating general levels of decency. I'll never wrap my head around it. Let's call this a night. I'm starting to get a little ape. I
definitely think that, once we've made people aware of this, all we can hope is that it's your responsibility to make sure that, your area is a safe area and things get out of control. But the thing is you always have control about how you react and how you feel and how your actions, you're always in control of those actions. And just the fact that, that's all for tonight.
This person got one too many chances, and you know what?
And they're continuing to get chances.
And the thing is, you guys want to sweep this stuff under the rug, I feel like. And I feel like a lot of the people that were directly in positions of power in the chats on Discord, on Twitter, whatever, I feel like they want all the fame and the adoration of, oh, look at this event I made for this property that I love. And you guys can't take the responsibility of like, oh, this bad thing's going on. And people reported it to you and reported it to others that worked under you. And you basically just gave them a big f*** you.
Yep.
And I'll never you guys should never run an event ever again.
Yeah.
Ever.